Welcome to page 11 of your packet. Today we will be reviewing adding integers. For some of you, you don't need much practice when it comes to adding integers. However, others need a bit more. We're going to review the rules before we jump into this particular worksheet. Let's take a moment. Now that your packet is open to page 11, use the blank back of page 10 to write down this chart. Make a simple T-chart and let's review the rules. When we have like signs, we will add our integers. Please record this on the blank backside of page 10. However, when we have unlike signs, one value positive and the other value negative, we will actually subtract the units. Let's take a look. If we have a gain of 5 units, or a positive 5, plus a gain of 2 units, we add the units up and we get a positive 7. Now, we don't often write the positive symbol in front of each value. Typically, this would look like this. But when our units are a loss or negative, we would certainly write it this way: a negative 4, or a loss of 4, plus a loss of 3. Well, that sum is a loss of 7. Both values have negative signs. A loss and a loss make a loss of 7, or a negative 7. Or, for example, when we have 3 values, such as a negative 5 plus a negative 2 plus a negative 1. All 3 values represent loss. So we take the sum, or we add those values up. Altogether, we have a loss of 8, or a negative 8. So in each of those cases, the signs were the same, either both positive or both negative. But what happens when we have unlike signs? For example, a negative 10, a loss of 10, but a gain of 7 units. Well, clearly we have more loss than gain, so the result will be negative. But subtract 10 units and 7 units, we find there's a difference of 3 units, or the answer is negative 3. If we get something like this, a negative 2 plus a positive 9, we see that we have more positive units. So we know the result will be positive. But find the difference between 2 negatives and 9 positives. Subtract, and we get a difference of 7. So just a quick review of the rules before we jump into the worksheet. Use these rules as you tackle the problems on worksheet 7-4. And when you're done, and once you've checked your work, you will take a quick quiz on adding integers. Let's get back to the worksheet. At the top of the worksheet, it states, tell whether the sum is positive, negative, or 0. Let's take a look at number 1. Although we don't put a positive sign in front of that 5, we know it is positive 5 plus negative 5. Those are opposites, and of course, we're going to get a sum of 0. If you go to the next problem, problem number 2, we are adding -8, a loss of 8, and a loss of 3. Since they both have the same sign, we're going to add. We get a -11. So clearly, that's a negative answer. Let's take a look at problem 3. We have a loss of 4 or a -4 combined with a +7. Clearly, more positives than negatives. So we're going to have to subtract because there are different signs on each add-up. With more positives, and we find the difference between the two groups, we get the answer +3. So in this particular case, your answer is +3 or positive. Please pause the video and complete the next 3 questions on your own. For number 4, you should have gotten a +6, so that one's positive. For number 5, a +6, so that indeed is positive. And for number 6, you should have gotten -14. Let's continue to the next section. In this section, you've been given an equation. We know because equations have equal signs. Your job is to solve each equation. What is D equal to in number 7? You need to combine together +5 and -8. We know they're different because the negative exists in front of the 8, and although we don't write it, we know this is a +5. Since they're different, subtract. You should get a -3. D equals -3. Go on to the remaining problems and figure out the answer to each. Pause the video and complete this next section on your own. Solve each of the equations, and when you're ready, turn the video back on so you can check your answers for this section. Give yourself a C if you've gotten it correct, or a check mark or an X if it's incorrect. Pause the video, please. For number 8, 0 equals T. Give yourself a C if you got that one correct. For number 9, V equals -13. For number 10, when you subtract, you should have gotten +6 equals H. Now we know the positive is not necessary, but your answer is +6 equals H. For number 11, you should have gotten N equals 0. Give yourself a C if you've done that one correctly. Number 12, B equals -13. Number 13, Y equals +5. Number 14, +9 equals K. Number 15, -30 equals S. Number 16, -26 equals P. Number 17, M equals -20. And number 18, C equals -12. Let's move on to the last section. In this last section, we're given several different expressions. It says, evaluate each expression. If A is -8, B is 12, a +12, and C is -4. Notice, in each of these problems, we do not see an equal sign. Why? Because each of these are expressions. Now let's substitute the value we've been given for each of the variables and funnel down our answer. For example, number 19, a is a -8. Let's substitute -8 plus -6. Since the signs are the same, we're going to add the values and funnel it down and simplify into one value. We get -14. Let's take a look at our next problem, number 20. We see we've been given -10 plus b. Let's substitute a +12 for b. -10 plus a gain of 12. Well, we have to subtract. We should get a +2, simplifying our answer to a +2. Now complete the rest on your own, pause the video, and check your work when you're done. Take a look at the answers and compare. Give yourself a C for each problem you have done correctly. Take a moment and study your notes and get ready for the quiz. This concludes the video on adding integers.